mummy's with the maggots now.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff.
Well, hi there.
Hello, and welcome to Would You Die, the show where we talk about fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory. I'm Austin Torres.
And I'm Anneliese Petersmark.
And today, I know what you guys are thinking. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? That's not a horror movie. And guess what? It's good enough for me.
Me too.
It is the second week of June Origins, affectionately known as
Origin.
And some of you other people might be like, this is a prequel?
Yeah. Which, don't get me wrong, you're not the only one.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, second movie in the original trilogy of Indiana Jones, is set in 1935, which is like 20 years before?
No, Raiders of the Lost Ark is set in 1936.
Oh, you're right. It's not that. Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking of one of the other ones. Yeah, you're right. I'm
like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which is set in the 50s. You're right. That makes no sense. Yeah, so this is set in 35, so it's about a year before
Raiders.
Why
did they make this choice? I don't know.
I have a couple of theories, but we'll get to them later.
I really wanted to do a prequel month.
Mm-hmm.
So when letting you listeners see behind the curtain, so to speak, I guess we could have talked about Wicked. That's a prequel. But
True. Also not really a horror movie.
Yeah, I think this one's slightly more horror than Wicked.
Yeah, I would say so.
But while we were coming up with different horror movies, and as you guys know what the lineup is, I think what I was really interested in was making a collection of very different movies.
Mm-hmm.
And when the opportunity to talk about Indiana Jones came up, I was like, I want to do it. And, who's going to tell me no?
Not me, that's for sure.
So
I'm just happy to be here.
So we're talking about Indiana Jones. I love Indiana Jones.
Me too. So just to get into the synopsis, if you've never seen Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom,
what are you doing?
I don't even know what you're doing here. You don't like movies, obviously, or fun. So, anyway. So Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, we start out in Shanghai. We start with our, namesake of the franchise, Indiana Jones, escaping an assassination attempt after a deal with a crime lord. However, him and his ragtag team of a nightclub singer, Willie Scott, and his young sidekick, Short Round, end up crash landing in a remote village in India because of said crime lord.
Shenanigans.
Exactly. There they find this village where everything is destitute. They're starving. Their children are gone.
Mm-hmm. And
they plead for Indiana Jones's help because their sacred stone, the Sankara stone, has been stolen by an evil cult in the Pankot Palace. So Indiana Jones goes to investigate said cult and retrieve the stone.
And you could say on this quest, he finds a temple of doom.
You could say that.
That's a pretty good evil laugh.
That was solid, yeah.
So what is your connection to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
So my connection is when I was like pretty old, actually. I was probably in 7th or 8th grade.
Okay.
And my stepdad was like, all right, it's time to watch all the trilogies. It's time to watch the big three. We started with Back to the Future, which is like a bold way to start, but we did. And then we watched Star Wars, and then finally we watched Indiana Jones.
That is a great big three of trilogies.
Yeah, so really had a great time with my stepdad in middle school. We watched all of those over like several weeks to a couple months, you know? And yeah, great time. Became really, really obsessed with sci-fi, fantasy, horror elements ever since. Never looked back. So yeah, that's pretty much my origin story. What about you, Austin?
So I want to say, what I remember with Indiana Jones, this is more to do with Raiders than it does with Temple of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
But with it being Indiana Jones, I have to just do the whole thing. I want to say it was like 9, 10.
Right?
My family went on a trip to Disney World, and we rode the Great Movie Ride.
Right, yeah.
And for the first time, I was truly introduced to not one, but two of the most life-defining film franchises in my life because of this ride.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, one of them is Indiana Jones. In case you guys are wondering, the other one is Alien.
Crazy.
They're both featured in this ride, right? So I fall in love with that ride and think it's great. And after that trip, my mom makes it kind of like a point to show me Alien and to show me the Raiders trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Except she just shows me Alien. I watch Raiders of the Lost Ark with my grandpa.
Yeah.
And we're watching it, and the movie's almost over, but my mom's like, okay, I'm ready. We're going to go home. Let's go home. And I'm like, the movie's not over. She's like, I'm going home. So we have to stop the movie. And let me tell you where we stop. Spoilers for Raiders. I know this is the Temple of Doom episode.
But still.
But I'm telling the story now. We stop when Indiana Jones hijacks a submarine.
Oh my God.
So she's like, you're watching a DVD. You have a DVD player at home. Like, you can finish watching the movie at home. It's like, fine. So I'm loving this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm having the best time with my grandpa. So it's like, okay, I take the disc. We go home. And I go straight to my room, put my Raiders DVD into my little thing, and I watch Raiders, the end of Raiders, and I am not expecting all the ghosts and blood and exploding heads and melting faces and gore. I was not prepared for that, and I was like, and I was traumatized.
Oh no.
And I come out to my mom, and she's like, did you like it? I was like, I was not expecting that.
That's so funny.
So, shortly after that, and these are my mom's DVDs, by the way.
Yeah.
They're mine now.
Of course.
I take Temple of Doom and I watch it with my grandpa, and then we watch Last Crusade a few days after that. It was, and I've been an Indiana Jones fan for life ever since.
Beautiful. That's really funny that your story starts at Walt Disney World, because I know Jeremy's story is also theme park adjacent.
Yeah, so for me, I was like, I want to say I was like 6 or 7 when my dad showed me Raiders for the first time.
Yeah.
I was really young, maybe potentially too young. But I loved it, and like I became obsessed with Indiana Jones. We watched all 3 movies in one weekend because I went to my dad on weekends. So we watched all 3 films. And I fell in love with Indiana Jones. I wanted to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I spent like years of my life saying I wanted to be a archaeologist. I did not. And if I would have even known then what archaeologists actually do, would not have wanted to be an archaeologist. But I was Indiana Jones for Halloween. It was like my whole personality for like multiple years of my life. And then I went with my dad to Walt Disney World, where if you've never been to Walt Disney World, at MGM Studios, they have it's a show, and you sit in like this theater, and they basically act out the first really big scene of Raiders with the boulder and
Yeah.
him running through and like the stunt show, and it's really cool. And I really wanted Indiana Jones's autograph, and Indiana Jones at Disney World is not one of the characters you get in line for. He's just a guy doing a show. So I like begged my dad to let me get his autograph as if it were up to him
Right.
somehow. Like my dad was like in charge of this decision. So my dad walked down like after the show, the audience kind of cleared out and he walked down and he asked one of the like stage coordinators if Indiana Jones could come back out and sign his son's autograph book, which he did, and he came out. And it was like a core memory. I had an autograph that said to Jeremy from Indy. It was really cool. So, yeah, for me, my story with Indiana Jones is at best, I met Indiana Jones. At worst, I met a man from Orlando.
It's horrifying.
I love that story though.
That's such a sweet story. Both of you have we all have these really sweet stories of like father figures in our life. Like mine's my stepdad, yours is your grandpa, and yours is your dad, obviously. And I think that's really sweet.
But like Indiana Jones is like a dad movie to show your kids, I feel like.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's funny because last episode we talked a lot about how like men have to have like sons to pass on the thing.
Right.
But like my stepdad was just as like excited to share that with his daughter, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and like a lot of the stuff I love, I got from my mom.
Right.
Like my mom showed me Star Wars,
I was gonna
and I
say,
feel like that's
your
a
mom's
dad
shown
thing.
you so much.
And
too.
Alien.
Yeah.
Technically, I showed myself Jurassic Park, but that's a story
That's
that we're not talking about.
We'll get there.
But my mom showed me Jaws.
Yeah.
But my grandpa showed her Jaws. So
Right. So it's a cycle.
It's a cycle. Either way,
thing.
Spielberg helped raise me. And one way, no matter how you slice it, Spielberg.
Austin's true father figure is Steven Spielberg.
Real. So real.
So for historical context this week, I did something a little different, if that's
There's
cool.
a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about. If you have more historical context vis-a-vis the actual movie, I'd be more than willing to listen. But I did some research into the actual history of kind of
Like the story?
the story, because I didn't realize how much Indiana Jones takes from real life. Like, I knew there were like Nazis in
Those are real.
in real life, but I didn't know like how much of this particular story there was. The obvious stuff is like the British colonial India stuff. So we have this British like officer at the table with the Prime Minister and the Maharaja and Indy, kind of including commentary kind of about like their backwards way of life. And the Prime Minister is very defensive about like, and very passive aggressive with the British officer.
Right.
And obviously, if you do not have the context for this, it is because the British ruled over India from 1858 to 1947. So this was kind of the end of British colonial rule. They were still trying to keep this tight grip. Lost it about 10 years after this. So really interesting to watch this scene where the Indians are really like taking back their power. They're not allowing the British people and the white people in the scene to make them feel like their culture is backwards. And I do find that really cool. I know there are a lot of like dated things, maybe stereotypical things that happen in this movie, but I think that like in this this particular aspect, I do think is done really well. It really highlights like the intelligence of the Indian people, and it doesn't show them as like backing down from this fight, from this like colonial rule that the Brits have over them, and I like that.
Right.
The other thing that I found really interesting is the Thuggee cult is a real thing.
I knew that.
I didn't.
I forgot that I knew that though.
Yeah, so it is a real group that was associated with ritualistic robbery and murder both things that they did in this movie. They robbed the village.
Mhm.
They murdered lots of people during the 18th and 19th centuries. Now, obviously, by the time the 20th century rolls around, by the time Indiana Jones like takes place, the Thuggee cult was long gone. But it's implied that in this movie they were long gone until they got revived in the movie.
Right.
The only real difference is they never actually got revived that we know of. But I found that really interesting that was a real thing. I did not know that. And then obviously the Sankara stones themselves are not like real things, but this idea of mythological power and sacred objects imbued with divine power is something that's very common in Hindu mythology, which is the predominant religion of
India.
So, not the only religion, but the predominant one, at least at the time. So, I just found those 3 facts really interesting, particularly about the Thuggee cult, because I did not know it was real.
I haven't thought about it in a long time, but yeah, I remember being like, wait, what? When I found that out a while back. But it's something I had forgotten. Something I want to say about the Sankara stones real quick. So 2 years ago, when Dial of Destiny was coming out, Disney had a bunch of indie merch. And on the Disney store, they were selling replicas of the different artifacts.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
I wanted to get them all, but I didn't because I'm Pole.
Yeah, that's fair.
But they had the Holy Grail. I was so sad I didn't get the Holy Grail. They had the crystal skull, and I really wanted the crystal skull.
Yeah, it's a cool looking.
And they had the Sankara stones, and that was like the most affordable one, and I still didn't. Because here's the thing.
They're rocks.
Yeah, and they were like $45, but you got to get 3.
Yeah, because
Otherwise, that's the point. They didn't make the Ark of the Covenant, which makes sense.
Yeah, that would be like thousands of dollars.
Yeah. But they had the idol from the beginning of Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Throw me the idol, I throw you the whip. I don't know why that popped into my brain, but it did. The one I got, you guys want to know the artifact I did get?
What?
I got the medallion for the Staff of Ra.
That's really cool.
And it's really fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Sankara stones are really cool. I think they're a great element. I want to say something about this film in context of movie history, because I know there are people who are gonna see we're covering Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and they're gonna be like, "That's not very scary." That's my Jurassic Park reference for the episode. I want to make sure I fill my quota.
Yeah.
What makes Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom really interesting in the history of cinema is 1984 was a wild year for movies, particularly Steven Spielberg, because parents fucking hated this man's guts. Jaws is a PG movie. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a PG movie. And these are very violent, bloody films.
Yeah.
But not enough to earn that R rating. There's not a lot of language in them.
And was this the pre-PG-13 era?
Yep. So imagine in 1984.
Yeah, only 13-year-olds can handle that.
Imagine in 1984 when not only do you get Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which has child slave labor, ritualistic human sacrifices, Willie Scott, and you pair that with Gremlins,
Yeah.
a supposed Christmas movie, which Gremlins is wild, and that will come up.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom is so important to the creation of the PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
And, like, I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the greatest movies ever made. I think it's a perfect movie. But I think you can make the argument that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom has a greater impact because once that PG-13 rating came out, it changes how studios make movies.
Can I tell you something really stupid?
Hell yeah.
I did not realize until this exact moment. Like, okay, I want to be clear. I knew that the movie was called Raiders of the Lost Ark. For some reason, it never occurred to me that movie is not Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Disney's tried to rename it.
But it's not. I mean,
But
like,
it's not,
it's
right.
just not. And so,
I'm
don't
sorry,
know.
it's not Star Wars A New Hope either. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, no.
I'll call it A New Hope sometimes if I'm talking to, like...
If I
'cause-
have to, but...
I'm not going to be a dick to someone who calls it that.
No.
But
That's
generally, I'm not
crazy.
going to call it that. I'm never going to call it Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost. I had to take a breath in that.
That's a lot of words.
Normally, I just say Raiders.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of the Lost Ark is pushing it most days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
Did you know Steven Spielberg has made, like, a lot of movies?
You know who you're talking to, right?
I'm making a joke. I hope everybody knows I'm making a joke. God, if you come into my comment section and tell me that I'm stupid because I didn't know fucking Steven Spielberg made movies,
Who?
I will kill you.
Yes, let's threaten our listener.
I'll find you and I will kill you.
For legal purposes, that is a joke?
It is a joke.
Moving on.
Anyway, so I wanted to talk about the reasons that this movie works as a prequel.
Yes.
And I think there are quite a few reasons that this works as a prequel. Obviously, we see Indiana Jones's first brush with the supernatural. It's a theme throughout the movies. Obviously, we saw it in Raiders, but
Right.
this is like his first time. At least it's implied that this is his first time realizing that there may be supernatural elements at work. We see that this kind of makes him corruptible in some ways. He is taken in by the allure of the cult, and that's interesting. Obviously, he snaps out of it.
But even in the beginning, like in the beginning of the film and throughout the first half, he's not as noble. And is he
No.
noble in Raiders? Debatable.
But more.
But more. And by the time we get to Last Crusade, he is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's
Kingdom of
why
the Crystal Skull, he's a war hero.
yeah. I think that's why it makes it such a wonderful arc, because at the very
Yeah.
beginning, fortune and glory, baby. Like,
That's
he
mhm.
comes to this town and they're like, please bring us back our stone. And he is like, I'm going to go find the stone.
In the beginning of the movie, he kills a dude with a shish kebab.
Well, yes. At the very beginning of the movie, he's like, give me my fucking diamond. I recovered your shit. I want my money. I don't give a shit. And then
I don't give a shish.
exactly.
Kebab.
And then he gets into this large altercation because he has been poisoned.
Right.
And his dear friend, the waiter, Wuhan.
His name is actually Wuhan. Just saying that, guys.
It's not racist if it's true.
I looked it up.
And that's, I mean, like, it seems like that might be his first loss in this job.
Yeah. It plays like it is.
Right.
This man
That-
killed somebody with a shish kebab. This man has a PhD.
You're allowed to do that once you have a PhD.
Yeah, that's true. That's the stipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody out there with a PhD, you get to kill people now,
But with shish kebabs.
but only with shish kebabs. So he, like, experiences this loss. He has this epic mad dash. So then he gets to this town. He's feeling the loss, whatever.
Mhm.
He's like, I'm going to go find the stone. I don't know that he's like, I'm going to go find the stone and bring it back to you guys. But he's like, I'm going to go
Yeah,
see what this is all about.
right.
He gets there, fortune and glory. Like, he is starting to recognize that he might be able to spin this in a way that is good for him.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the movie, he has brought back the stone. He's risked his life several times to get the stone. He brings it back. He frees all of the child slaves
Right.
and doesn't really get anything in return. He just goes on to Delhi and goes home.
Right. Exactly. And this film mirrors Raiders in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's more of a rogue in this movie.
Yeah.
And you can view, and I think the jump from Temple of Doom to Last Crusade is very
Yeah.
apparent. But from if you watch Temple of Doom before you watch Raiders, it's there.
Yeah. I think we also kind of see him go from a lone wolf to having connections with others.
Mhm.
Obviously, he's not staying with Willie Scott, but like it's very much him, like he cares for her at least
Right.
enough to be like, hey, no, like you're accompanying me to New Delhi. Like their relationship is not built for longevity, but it is not like a one night stand fling type thing like that.
He's not that easy.
No, he's not that easy.
That is such a funny scene.
It is a funny scene. It's one of my favorites. But
Years of field study.
Also, so good. Gross, but so good. But obviously, that's only one part of it. He
Yeah.
also has this like newfound relationship with Short Round. He found Short Round in Shanghai
Right.
while he was trying to pickpocket him. So this is a new like relationship that he's built with this young child. So much so that like he takes him. You know what I mean? Like he's like, he doesn't have any parents. He can come with
Right.
me. I don't know what his plan was with Short Round.
And we know it didn't last a year.
Well, no, he got shipped to boarding school. But he's like, I mean, even that, he like, Indiana Jones probably recognizes, hey, I do a lot more traveling than the average archaeologist. But one thing I can do is like make sure this kid has a good education. Make sure
Right.
he gets like the highest of the high care. Like he's paying for his education. You know what I mean?
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So
Can you imagine people today helping others with education?
no.
This is just a weird segue that feels appropriate at this moment. But speaking of paying for Short Round's education, this is just a cool story. I was listening to an interview with Huy Quan recently, like within that came out
Oh,
within
you
the
did
last
tell me this.
like couple of weeks. And obviously, if you follow the trajectory of his career, you basically know him from 3 movies, right? Like you know him from Temple of Doom,
Yep.
The Goonies, and then long gap, and
fast
then
forward 40
everything,
years.
and then Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Which he won an Oscar for. He, in this interview, was talking about his relationship with Steven Spielberg, and he reached out to Steven when the well kind of dried up when he was a young, you know, like a young man, like elder teenager becoming a young man in
Yeah.
the world, and wanted to continue his career in film, but just was not getting roles, and he wanted to become a stunt and fight coordinator, which he did.
Mhm.
And Steven Spielberg, who obviously found him, cast him in both of those movies,
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and The Goonies, actually paid in full for his entire education to be able to become a behind-the-scenes coordinator. I just thought that was a really cool story.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. And while we're on the topic of Huy Quan's journey, do y'all remember the Oscars in 2023?
I was literally just talking about this yesterday about how that video makes me sob.
The one with Harrison?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he calls him Indy. Oh my God. I just cry every time.
Because Everything Everywhere All at Once just won Best Picture.
Right.
And to watch Huy Quan just run straight to Harrison.
Just to watch him like transform into like this little kid again.
Right.
And like Jeremy told me this story the other day from the same interview, I assume, that when he was a little kid and he was working on this movie, he would go back to the hotel and he would just like sit by the pool and watch Harrison Ford swim laps. Because obviously like he was a very like fit dude.
Yo, Harrison's fucking ripped in this movie.
Yeah. And one of like, so at times like Harrison would come by and be like, why don't you just get in? Like, get in the water with me. Huy Quan didn't know how to swim, so Harrison Ford taught him.
I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah.
And when you watch their interactions, because Huy Quan's not in Dial of Destiny.
No.
But they still invited him to the premiere because he's so important to the indie franchise. But every time you see Harrison and Huy Quan now, Harrison just lights up, and he has such. And if you guys don't know who Harrison Ford is, what the fuck? But he's known for being like kind of grumpy, which is
he's kind of a curmudgeon, like,
which is
and
his
always
charm.
really has been. Yeah,
it's part of his charm, because he could care less about fame. He just loves to act, and he just happens to be in the biggest fucking movies of all time.
Yeah, he is literally like, I'm here for a paycheck, and I'm also here because I like to do this, and it's fun. And the only person I've ever seen him be halfway genuine around is Huy Quan.
Like, he always gets genuine when talking about Indiana Jones.
Of course,
He
yeah.
loves that character.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you can, he smiles. And you really only see him smile like that in the movies when he's acting.
Well, and you can really see, like, you can see when, like, a relationship, especially with a child on screen, is genuine, when a child feels safe with their acting counterpart. And, like, Huy Quan obviously did.
When they're playing poker,
Uh-huh.
you can tell Huy Quan's, like, struggling not to break, and which is fine for
Yeah.
because they're playing poker and
Right,
he's a
it's,
kid.
like, lighthearted. It's fine, yeah.
But it's so funny. I cheat very little. You cheat very big. It's so good. And Willie Scott's off yelling at the nocturnal wildlife.
We're surrounded.
That's why they call it the jungle. It's so good.
Yeah. The one scene that, like, always brings tears to my eyes with Huy Quan is at the very end, obviously, when he slaps him. And then, like, he goes to burn him. And he's like, I'm okay, kid. And he's got, like, tears in his eyes. And he winks at him. And then he afterwards...
The wink is so good.
Yeah. And then afterwards they hug. And he goes, you're my best friend, Indy. And
Oh, when they
just
exchange
cry.
the hats?
Yes.
It's so good.
Anyway.
It's so good. And I love Short Round. I never understood the people who hate Short Round. I just think they hate fun.
Yeah.
That being said, I do laugh when
It's the
possessed
sound
indie.
effect to me.
It's the sound effect. It's the
Yeah.
fact that he just backhands this kid across the literal Temple of Doom. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
It is so I'm sorry. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the fact he hit a child.
Yeah. But it's
Especially
also
one I like.
hilarious.
But
Hot
it is
take: hitting kids is bad.
Hot take.
Controversial, I know, but yeah. From a developmental standpoint, it's not great.
Don't hit kids.
One thing I will say, kind of an aside, but speaking of children in this movie, the Maharaja kid does such a good job being absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah,
That's
he's
a
good.
little psycho. It's crazy.
I like the scene where he speaks at the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm aware of the fucked up shit that he didn't say that. This is a PG-13. It's a PG movie.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have wasted their one F-bomb on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm paraphrasing. He said, I know fucked up shit happened here. But under my watch, it's not going to happen. He shuts everyone up, including Indiana Jones.
Yeah. He's like, if I offended you, I'm sorry.
And if there's one thing Indiana Jones doesn't do in this movie, it's shut the fuck up.
No, he's not good at that.
Because he's talking shit to fucking Mola Ram,
Mm-hmm.
which we should talk about.
Sure.
What a villain.
Yeah. Terrifying.
I don't know, in terms of temperature, where this take lies. Best villain of the franchise.
Okay. All the other villains are like Nazis.
Which, like...
Well, I guess that then we were thinking, what do we mean by best? Because he's probably a better... Well, I don't know. I was gonna say maybe a better person than the Nazis.
I don't know.
in
I think
general?
I think so, because like he's not like racist or like anti-Semitic. He's just like I
mean,
need
he
people.
might be.
Well, okay, but now that we know of,
Those conversations weren't had.
right? We
Right.
don't know that. He's just like kind of like I just need people to sacrifice for my death cult. Like he's not like I'm gonna systemically eradicate an
But he
entire
wants to
group
rule
of
the-
people.
But he does mention in his monologue that he wants to rule, but he's specifically talking about other religions.
Right.
Because he goes on that thing where he's like,
First, the Muslim god will fall, and
Right.
then
the
Hebrew god, and then the Christian god will something about not
Right.
being even remembered.
And how do you do that? I think you do that by taking out people of other religions. So I do think he's got genocidal tendencies.
fine. I just
That
think
being
maybe I think he's like more like I can proselytize.
And that's fair. We don't know for sure.
I don't know. He is like, a perpetrator of child slavery, so
That ain't cool.
it's not great.
I mean, so are the Nazis. They ain't cool either.
Well, yeah.
Either way, no matter how you slice it, the Indiana Jones villains are not good people.
He's probably the coolest villain.
Oh,
Aesthetically?
he's got the best hat.
Yeah.
Well, Tote from Raiders also has a really cool hat.
Okay,
But if you look close up on Mola Ram's, it's got horns. It's got like a shrunken head on it.
yeah, it has teeth. It has like the
Teeth?
jawbones.
Yeah, it does. Right. It's such a cool head.
He's a crazy looking motherfucker too.
I think he's the best villain from a character standpoint.
Yeah.
Thinking like I think he's the most vivid's not the right word, but he stands out the most as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone who knows these movies knows Mola Ram's names. Mola Ram's name. Who remembers Belloc? I mean, I do. Belloc's a pretty good villain. But like Tote, people don't remember that. The villain in Last Crusade, I can't remember his name right now. I know the actor's name. It's Julian Glover. I know he plays General Veers in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
But what's his character's name in The Last Crusade?
I don't know.
I know Kate Blanchett is fucking awesome in Crystal Skull. Irina Spalkel, I think, is that character's name. In The Dial of Destiny, it's Mad Mickelson.
Walter Donovan.
That's right. Walter Donovan.
Yeah. He's also Aragog in Harry Potter, but
That's right.
besides the fact. I just like to play like Wikipedia
Yeah.
tag until I find something else that they're interestingly in.
No, Julian Glover's in a lot of great shit. But
Yeah.
I think Mola Ram's the best villain in the franchise.
I tend to agree. Yeah.
I think as a trio, the Raiders villains match up with Mola Ram.
I think so.
But individually, not quite.
Fair.
But Belloc's a great character.
Yeah.
It's different because he's more like a rival. Mola Ram's a villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mola Ram just has like sometimes like a good villain has to have a really solid aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And he just has a really solid aesthetic.
And presence. He's got the presence.
Yeah. Like he's really good at it. When he pulls the hearts out of people.
Yeah. Kalima. Kalima.
Apparently Mola Ram is also an Indian painter.
Oh.
So I don't know if they are related. Like if that's why he was named that fictionally, but interesting to think about.
Mola Ram's not a good dude. I don't know how to tell you this.
No, I didn't say he was. Kali is like one of the scariest like Hindu gods ever.
Well, yeah. I've seen this movie.
I mean like
I don't know much.
I was gonna say in real life, but like I mean in like paintings and shit.
Oh, gotcha.
She has like 8 arms and she has like a necklace of heads around her.
I think they portray that in the movie. Like
I think
in the
so.
statues.
Yeah, I believe so. And like some hands, and she's always like
They did their research.
standing on some fucking
From what I can
guy.
tell.
It's crazy. She's always got her tongue out. She's blue.
Oh shit.
Fun
I didn't
fact.
catch that from the movie. But yeah, Mola Ram's such a good villain.
Mhm.
Kalima.
Kalima.
Fun fact. I drew inspiration from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in one of my short horror films,
Which one?
The Blood Witch.
Shocker. There's a lot of blood in that one. There's a lot of blood in this movie.
Spoilers for The Blood Witch. She tears out the beating heart of a man.
She does do that.
Where do you think I got this from?
I mean, like, yeah. I see it now. I hear you. That's fair.
If Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom's not a horror movie, then why is there still beating heart in hand? That shit's fucked. And the dude's still alive. That's crazy. That is crazy. So, something I kind of want to talk about real quick. There's this really funny moment. I know this is a prequel, but there's a direct reference to Raiders, and it feels like it should be in a sequel.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, very famously in Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's supposed to be this epic fight between Indiana Jones and a swordsman. And Harrison Ford couldn't shoot that scene because he was sick.
Oh no.
He told Steven Spielberg, "Hey, I gotta go. I'm sick." Because the casting crew had food poisoning.
Uh-oh.
And he told Steven, "You have an hour." And Steven's like, "Well, the shot list." And Harrison looks at Steven and goes, "You have an hour."
Yeah. And also I'm Harrison Ford.
Right.
So you have an hour.
Because I have to go puke and shit and all the things.
We've already made a movie called Indiana Jones. I am Indiana Jones.
Oh, this is on Raiders. This is on the first one.
Then never mind.
So instead of this beautiful fight scene,
right,
now we get this classic moment where this swordsman comes up and he's twirling it, and Indy just pulls out his gun and shoots. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And then it's referenced in this where
there's
the twin
two
swordsmen, and then he goes to pull out his gun and it's
he doesn't
not
have it.
there.
And
you're right.
He does that classic Harrison smirk.
I had no idea that was like why that scene existed, because that scene's so iconic.
Right.
That's so funny.
But it's like the one moment where Temple of Doom forgets it takes place after.
Yeah.
But you can also retroactively make it work.
Because
like,
now he's never forgotten his gun.
Yeah, because in Raiders, it's like, oh, I ain't dealing with that shit again.
Yeah, no. That's so funny.
So it still works, but I just like that. Because our boy John Williams plays the basket chase music in that moment, which I'm like, that's a really good callback.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the fans. It's for the fans.
It's a good one.
Because this is a movie that is so different from Raiders.
Yeah.
Which makes it interesting as a prequel, because it would be interesting as a sequel.
Yeah, I like that we see him go from a little bit more selfish to a little bit more
because
helpful.
Right, because like this is a movie where Indy essentially goes to hell and comes back.
Yeah.
A better person.
He learns his fucking priorities. I also want to point something out, just like because this is a discrepancy in Hindu mythology. So if I'm reading this right, which I'm pretty sure I am, but you can fact check me if I'm wrong. Kali's husband is Shiva. So the fact that everybody is like, oh, Shiva is like, or like you're portraying Shiva by worshiping Kali, that's not exactly how Hinduism works. So I do find that really interesting. Like there are people that like worship more deities, certain deities over others, but like these two are married.
I didn't know.
I'm
very ignorant when it comes to the Hindu religion, so.
Yeah. My mom had a really close friend who is Hindu, so I know like the basics, but like the very basics. So
that's so much more than me.
But I do find, I don't know, I just find that interesting. I did not know that they were married.
Do we have any Hindu listeners?
Let us know.
Let us know and educate
also,
my ass, because I think it's cool.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
I kind of talked a little bit about the cultural impact of this film in regards to the PG-13 rating, but talk a little bit more about the cultural impact of Temple of Doom.
So, this is less about Temple of Doom specifically, and more about just like Indiana Jones as a character and as a genre starter, really. The Indiana Jones original trilogy really spurred on so many like copycats and like inspiration movies. Some of which are fantastic. I'm about to name a bunch of them. Romancing the Stone.
Iconic.
The Mummy.
Very iconic.
Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah.
National Treasure.
We have to steal the Declaration of Independence. That is such an Indiana Jones move too.
It's so an Indiana. He totally would.
I love National Treasure. Though.
You know how
I love
do
all
you
of
want
these
to know how
picks.
you know that movie is an Indiana Jones clone?
Mm-hmm.
I remember this vividly. On the back of the DVD for National Treasure, it says, "This generation's Indiana Jones."
It does say that on the back of the DVD.
And that's kind of
National
real.
Treasure.
That's
And I
kind of
think
true.
It's really important that you know that I can verify that fact because I can quote the entirety of the first 2 National Treasure movies by heart, beginning to end.
Does Nick Cage in National Treasure have daddy issues?
He does.
Indiana Jones clone.
Yeah, his dad is John Voight. I would have daddy issues too.
Real.
Anyway. Uncharted. Both the video games and the not successful movie.
Mm-hmm.
DuckTales, the movie.
You are so real for that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The Road to El Dorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd see that.
Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
Which is, for whatever reason, like a twin movie to The Road to El Dorado in my mind.
It really is, yeah. I mean, they go hand in hand in my heart too. As far as other video games, Assassin's Creed, those movies.
I never played.
Prince of Persia,
I haven't played those either.
which I haven't played it, but I did watch the Jake Gyllenhaal hit Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. He should not have been playing a Persian prince. But
Yeah,
that's
that's
fine.
a little weird.
I'd like to add just one more to this list as well,
Mhm.
because while the original source material, I would argue, is not necessarily Indiana Jones inspired, you can see Steven Spielberg's fingerprints all over this movie as an Indiana clone. But the animated Adventures of Tintin movie that Spielberg directed
Yeah.
is just an Indiana Jones movie.
Really? I haven't seen it.
Well, you could say because The Adventures of Tintin source material comes before
Mm-hmm.
Indy.
So it was like, it's kind of a
It kind of like
circular chicken
Yeah,
and egg
it's like
thing.
full circle. Yeah.
right, because exactly because you know the original Indy movies are a remix of what inspired George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. They took from James Bond. Like James Bond is literally the father of Indiana Jones. They took from movies. I forget what the name of it, but like the suit is from a very famous movie, something of the sea. I can see the movie in my head, but I can't remember the name of it. But there's other
What are you talking about? Like, what suit?
Indiana Jones is his fedora, his leather jacket,
Okay.
his adventure suit,
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying.
his white tux is a James Bond suit. Which that white tux is so clean. Oh my God, I love it. I love it so much. Can I add one?
Please.
Chip and Dale.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They literally dress like Indiana Jones.
Right.
Yeah.
They dress like one of them. I forget which one's which, but one of them dresses like Indiana Jones, and the other one dresses like fucking Bruce Campbell in Burn Notice.
Yeah.
So
Rescue Rangers.
Is that the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to say the Rescuers Down Under, but those are the mice.
Those are the mice.
But is that Indiana Jones coded? I don't
It
know.
could be, but, like, probably not.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Rescuers Down Under in a hot second.
Do you know, in the most recent iteration of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, they're played by John Mulaney and Andy Samberg? I didn't know that. I didn't know that a 2022 version of fucking
It was
Chip
an
and Dale
interesting
came out.
movie.
God damn. Okay.
There's a really funny bit that has to do with Batman and E.T.
Okay. I will watch it and I will get back to you all.
It's so that new Chip and Dale movie is kind of like a remix of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So
It's very Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's wild.
And in this movie's universe, there's a new hit blockbuster called Batman vs. E.T.
That's fucking awesome.
It's insane. Anyways, Indiana Jones has inspired
So many.
like you said, a whole genre.
Yeah, of these really like adventure history based movies, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think it's really cool. I love it.
Me too.
And Temple of Doom specifically, you can put the Blood Witch.
Yep. Well,
I think it's cool that like
that you were inspired by Indiana Jones.
that. Oh, she's literally putting the Blood Witch in the notes, guys.
Yep.
Just so you guys know. But no, I just think it's because talking about like the adventures of Tintin, how Indiana Jones was influenced by so much things, and then in turn influenced so many more things, and then just seeing how Steven Spielberg got
it truly feels like Spielberg like was like, I want to make a movie like Tintin, and then made Indiana Jones, and I was like,
and then you got to make
fuck
Tintin.
that, I'm making Tintin.
Right. And then in the Jurassic Park films, he references King Kong. He references Godzilla.
Yeah.
And Ready Player One, he uses both King Kong and Godzilla.
Yeah.
And Rexy. He brings back Rexy. Apparently, he did not want to reference any of his movies in
Too late.
Ready Player One, but they were like, do the T-Rex. It's okay. You didn't direct Back to the Future. You can reference Back to the Future.
Yeah.
It's cool. But I just think it's the cycle of the cycle of influence,
Right.
going from referencing King Kong to using King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I fucking love this movie.
Me too, dude.
I love this franchise.
Yeah. It's a very fun franchise.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Should we go into our superlatives?
We should. Are you gonna find a new way to pronounce that every week?
I'm gonna try really fucking hard.
Who would you save, Austin?
Who would I save? I would save Wuhan.
That's fair.
It's so funny because I watched this movie with my family just because it's a great movie. I'm like, this will be fun for all of us. I'm like, I have to watch this for work, but like we're gonna have a fun time if we watch it together. And they go, okay. And then we're watching this opening scene. My mom's like, wow, it's really sad. I'm like, we don't know this guy, but it is sad. It is sad. And in like 5 seconds, you come to care for this character.
Yeah.
How about you?
I would save all the starving Indian slaves.
Okay, Indiana Jones.
I'm just saying, if I was given the opportunity to save anybody, I'm going to save the Indian children who are starving.
Does that make me a dick?
No.
Because I could have said, hey, I would help the children too.
No.
And I didn't.
You helped Wuhan. I helped the children. We saved everybody who died, except for that one guy who got lowered into the pit.
That was pretty cool, though.
What about the guy that, like, the main bad guy tries to throw down at Indiana Jones, but just misses and then laughs as he falls all the way into the water?
To the alligator. Okay, how the fuck have we not talked about the alligators yet?
That's fair.
This is how crazy this movie is.
Is that we didn't even get to the alligators.
Are the giant vampire bats.
We really didn't. Which is funny because that was our hint last week.
It was. Also, I love elephants.
Same.
Elephants, I think, are just beautiful animals. And when I was a little kid, they were my favorite animal. I actually have a bracelet with the elephant on it right now that my mom got me.
Cute.
And the elephants and okay, here's the thing. Listen.
He's gonna save the elephants.
I'm gonna save the elephants, yes. I'm a straight man. But Harrison Ford in the Indiana Jones outfit riding a bull elephant is so hot.
That's okay. That's not where I thought. I really thought you were about to reveal some information about you and your attraction to elephants that I wasn't expecting.
Oh no, they would kill you.
Yeah, no shit.
But no, Harrison Ford on an elephant.
That's fair. Okay, yeah, no, I'm back with it.
Okay, cool. Like that is, I'm sorry, that is peak masculinity right there.
Yeah. I do feel like now is a really good time to talk. We've just like not talked about Willie at all. And I just feel like now's a really good time to talk about the jungle scene, where Willie's trying to talk to Indy and the elephant is like fucking with her.
Yeah.
And then she pulls on his trunk and it's the big snake and she just shoves it down. She's like, that elephant. And just like walks away. And Indy's like scared shitless. It's very fun.
Because she's scared of literally everything else. But when she don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, the people hate on Willie. And yeah, me too. But
I'm not saying she's not annoying. I'm saying that if you were used to a life of comfort and then all of a sudden you crash landed in the Indian jungle and this fucking crazy man, instead of taking you to Delhi, the city where you could get a plane back home, is like, we're going to go investigate this murder cult, you would also be fucked up about it.
oh, real. That is so real. And I want to get, and I like she's shallow and superficial and whatever, but at the end, when the cards are down, at the end of the day, she goes and she sticks her hand in the little bug crevice to save some child she just met and
A dude who just kind of insulted her by calling her easy.
right. I mean, that's rude no matter how hot you are.
Yeah.
And she punches like the thuggy cult members and she fights.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, yeah, I
respect her. I don't like her. I respect her.
she is so out of her element.
Yeah.
Whereas like Marion Ravenwood is at home in a bar brawl.
Yeah, like she does. I mean, she's not as prolific. She's not going on the same adventures as he is, but she does the same shit that Andy does.
Right.
They are equals in that way.
And Willie Scott is the exact opposite
Yeah.
of Marion Ravenwood. And then the third one's a Nazi. We don't
Yeah.
talk about the third one.
Well, but she's very capable because of her Nazism.
So what's your favorite scare in the Temple of Doom?
My favorite scare in the Temple of Doom is the bugs.
The bugs.
The bugs. I like when he's like, it's okay. It's a very racist line, but when Huy Quan's like, it feels like I'm stepping on fortune cookies, and then they flash the light and it's just so many bugs. I'm like, that's crazy. And again, I'm not saying it's not racist. I am saying that's kind of an apt analogy.
He's not wrong. That's the thing.
It's just, I don't think that any Chinese person would say that.
Yeah.
I'm just
that's
not.
fair.
I'm just not convinced.
Is that the part with the enclosing room where everything, the
With
wall
the
up-
spikes,
Before,
yeah.
it's right.
My
before.
favorite part of that is when he backs into the wall and he and Indiana Jones looks at him and he's like, "I went against the wall. I did what you told me to do." Like,
My favorite part is when they're screaming at Willie, and Willie has to put her hand through the thing, and Indiana Jones looks through one of the holes, and goes, "We are going to die!" And then he makes, like, a little frowny face. Like, it's so funny. I want to use that as a reaction to whenever people, like, in a hypothetical situation where we're set to do, like, a recording, and in the group chat, you'll be like, "Hey, can we push 15 minutes?" I want to send that reaction to shit like that.
I'm gonna give that to you next time, just so you have the opportunity.
Yeah.
My favorite is also part of that scene where she like gets in the room and then she's like shaking all the bugs off her and she bends over and pushes the button again, and then Short Round's just like, "I didn't do it. She did it."
This movie's funny. It's so funny.
So, who is your Tony Todd Award for movie MVP?
I don't get a scare.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's your favorite scare?
I mentioned it before, but I have to mention it again because it did things to me. Kalima.
Yeah.
Taking out a man's beating heart and just holding it like that, and then it catches on fire.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's so insane. This movie's fucking batshit.
I understand, like, as an adult with media literacy skills, that there was more to it than just saying the words Kalima. But as a kid, I just thought I was like, there's no way that the skill of taking a man's heart out from his chest requires 2 words. I really
want me
thought
to show
that's
you?
all they needed.
Were you just really scared somebody was like gonna
Yeah.
come up to you?
I was like, why would they give that away? People are gonna use this.
You never like went to your friends and was like, calling him out, stop it. You never did that?
No.
Everyone did it to me. No.
Well, you were the weird Indiana Jones kid, so they had to.
Yeah. It was legally they had to.
Yeah, it was within their rights. All right, so now, who is your Tony Todd Award for movie MVP?
There's a lot of options for this one. I want to give it
Thank you,
to
Harrison.
what?
Thank you, Harrison. Sounded very grizzled, just like he does.
I'm so happy right now. Because that wasn't even on purpose. I don't think I can give it to Harrison because, like,
Duh.
yeah, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be a bit more adventurous than that, you know? I think I'm going to give it to Amrish Puri, who plays Mola Ram,
Yeah.
because he's so good.
And he's like mostly an Indian actor. Like he mostly
Yeah.
does Indian movies. I don't know if they're technically qualified as Bollywood because I don't think they're like musicals, and I think they have to be musicals to be Bollywood.
But he's
although
in
I'm
a
not sure.
he's prolific.
But he's prolific, like in India, or was at the time at least.
Right. But he is so good in this movie, and he has a presence where it's like he might have less screen time than the other Indiana Jones villains.
But
he-
like he's the one you remember the most
Right.
by far.
Exactly. And I didn't want to be boring and take your winner.
That's fair.
Who is your Tony Todd Award winner for movie MVP?
Huy Quan.
There it is, guys.
I think he
Don't
just,
worry. We're going to talk about him more.
he just makes the movie. Like he's so effortlessly charming, and it does make me like it makes me really happy that he got a second chance in Hollywood. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and with such a wonderful movie, I think he really deserved that. And I just love him in this.
He
And that's all.
he is such a great part of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed this film. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is the score better than Jaws?
Yes.
Interesting.
What about you? Do you think it's better than Jaws?
No,
Okay.
but I think it's really fucking good.
That's fair. I think
We're gonna
this-
start calling this section Annaliese's answer and Austin's no but.
Did I say no but on the on
Yeah.
everyone probably except for
Yeah.
the Psycho episode?
Yes. I do think this score is better than Jaws. I get what you're saying. I understand. I think this score is more iconic. It makes me feel more shit. I really enjoy that this score is very brass heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think Jaws is generally more string heavy and like French horn. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like Jaws score is like all fucking cello and French horn. Like that's what that shit
Mhm.
is, you know? And I like the trumpets and violins that are in this one. Call me biased because those are the instruments that I play, but I like this one.
I like the choral stuff he's doing too, especially in, you guessed it, the Temple of Doom scene.
Yeah. And I think in general, like the main Raiders March theme, which is obviously more from Raiders,
Right.
has like hints in this. But I do think that is like, I mean, it is obviously objectively one of the most recognizable
Oh yeah.
scores of all time. As you all know, I have my opinions about where it came from because this is John Williams, and I have opinions about where all of his stuff came from. That being said, both of these are John Williams. So I feel like I'm kind of just on a zero-sum game here. Like, right? Like, you know, so I feel no guilt about saying, yes, it's better than Jaws.
And, which is a take, but I do have to say, I love Short Round's melody, our motif or theme.
Mm-hmm.
Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. And then the
I like also that it's not, like, because I feel like it would be so easy in this
mhm.
era to be very stereotypically Chinese.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I like that they didn't do that. They made something that matched his personality and
It
his
felt
character.
like a kid's
Yeah,
theme.
it was not just like,
And it pairs well with
you know.
with indies.
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have to talk about this theme. I know it as like the March of the Slave Children, which
Yeah.
is an insane title.
Is that its actual title?
That's what I think it is. That's what I remember it being called. But it's the ba da 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 ba da ba da bum ba da ba da da ba da. It's so fucking good. That is such a good melody.
Yeah, it's very good.
It gets me so hype. In the scene where Indiana Jones, it's like, okay, I have to talk about this real quick. I'm nerdy now. I'm
Just
sorry.
as a
Yes.
interjection, it is called Slave Children's Crusade.
I'm not that far off.
No,
okay?
you are not. Like, it's actually worth.
So in this iconic moment where I forget, Willie says something like, "Are we getting out of here?" And Indiana Jones is like, "Yes, all of us." And John
Yeah.
Williams puts in that like metallic percussion, but doo 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 doo. It's really cool.
Goes so hard.
And then he kicks someone's ass off screen and they go flying. And Steven Spielberg, because hot take, guys, Steven Spielberg's a good filmmaker. He has the camera down low and he pushes in on this beautiful low angle shot of Indy with this like red lighting. And he has this mean mugging face on, like, child labor's wrong. That's the look he's giving. And he just kicks ass. It is so good. So good.
It's very good.
So, I don't know if I'm ready to say that this one's better than Jaws.
Do you think Raiders is better than Jaws?
Yes, 100%.
Fair.
No hesitation.
Fair.
And I will say that I don't know if we'll cover Raiders. Not on the main pod, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Temple of Doom is the most horror.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the easiest where we could put this on the main feed. Maybe a Patreon of Raiders one day.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Last Crusade maybe too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because as you guys can tell, everyone recording right now is a huge Indiana Jones fan.
Yep.
So Raiders maybe if we did like a intro to horror, like or a
the
kids
ending
horror
is-
month.
The ending is pretty horror.
Yeah, and then like a dude gets like fucking decimated by a plane propeller. There are snakes,
You're
there are
right.
tarantulas. So Raiders maybe, but this is the easiest one
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because it is.
There's hearts and death cults and.
I think it's a kids. I would say it's a kids horror movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think it's more horror than Teen Wolf.
I think it's more horror than I agree. It's more horror than Teen Wolf. I think it's more horror than the most horror out of all the indie movies. So, but that being said, I do think the Raiders score is better than Jaws.
Okay.
If I were to rank the indie scores, I would rank them in release order.
Yeah, I would too. Austin,
Yes.
you kind of already mentioned this, but a fine addition to your collection. Do you own this movie?
Multiple iterations, baby.
Where do you own it?
So we have this on DVD,
Mm-hmm.
we have this on Blu-ray,
Mhm.
and we have this on 4K.
Beautiful.
And I have a short round Funko Pop.
Nice.
I don't think I have a Mola round Funko Pop. I
That'd be
don't
cool.
know if they made one,
I'm
but
sure they've made every Funko Pop.
true. But I have different versions of Indy. I have Indy in his white tuxedo. I have
That's awesome.
have that one, and I have this fun collectible beer can from Horror Hound in 2023, and
They have just everybody.
they did make a Mola Ram. I
They
don't
have a little short round, and I want him in his little Yankees cap.
I do have the short round, but I have this fun collectible beer tin or beer can from Horror Hound 2023. I forget because Horror Hound partners with Third Eye Blind Brewery, and they make specific horror-themed beers for every single. So I've had like not something to do with the con. So there's been Candyman, there's been E.T., there's been Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Terrifier, Nightmare on Elm Street, a whole bunch of different ones, and they range from, hey, this is pretty good, to I really don't like this beer. But
That's fair.
But I like to try new, and they're always interesting. They're always weird, so it's cool. And I like to keep the cans. They have one with Mola Ram and the heart in his hand.
Really?
It's such a cool can.
That's fun.
I'll have to take a picture of it when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about you?
My family owns it on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
We own all of the movies on VHS except for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which we owned on DVD, and Dial of Destiny, which I'm pretty sure they have not bought. But everything else, VHS, baby. The original trilogy, VHS.
We only have Raiders on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we didn't have any of them on VHS. But my grandpa would always watch them on TV.
That's fair. They're always on TV.
And then we bought them on DVD.
I had the box, like the VHS box set growing up.
That's what we had.
Oh, that's cool.
We still have it, I'm pretty sure.
But
I
yeah.
wonder if, like, my parents would part with some of their VHSs, because I would love to have those, like, just as display pieces in our house.
VHSs are cool.
This is not the point.
Do you have your Letterboxd review ready?
I do. My Letterboxd review, I gave this 4.5 stars and a heart. It is, ironically, my least favorite of the original trilogy. The other two movies are 5 stars for me.
Mm-hmm.
My review was, I am Willie. Willie is me. Because, again, I understand she's annoying. She's the only one reacting appropriately to anything that's going on. What about you? What is your rating? What is your review?
This is going to surprise everyone listening, including myself. I only gave this 4 stars as opposed to your 4.5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
But I did give it a heart. And I said, this film has a special place in my heart. Too soon?
That's hilarious. One thing that... Oh, well, first I want to get Jeremy's review.
Okay, so full disclosure, I do not have a Letterboxd account, but I do need to make one
I would
because
love
I
to
do
see...
feel like I'm watching more movies than ever, just from doing this, but
Yeah.
also just in general.
I would love to see all of your reviews on every single baseball movie ever done.
You can make like a baseball movie list.
Right. No, so my review would be I think I'd also go 4.5 stars. And I would just say Temple of Doom, more like Temple of 5 Big Booms.
Boo. Gross. Not a boom reference or whatever they're... I don't even know what they're called. The Rizzler and Co. Okay, so I did want to get your star ratings opinions. How do you decide what your star ratings are? Because we talked about this off mic, but I want to talk about it on.
Well, it's really funny that you mentioned this because I just changed my Letterboxd bio.
Mm-hmm.
And and by change I mean I added. So for a long time it says lover and maker of horror films, host of the horror film podcast Would You Die, and spare no expense is my life motto. But I just added a new line to it. There is no logic to my star ratings. Only chaos.
That's hilarious.
So to answer your question, there is no logic. That it's whatever I'm feeling.
That's fair.
So if you ever see a specific thing and you're really like, why did you just give this 4.5 stars and have a scathing review? I don't know. I just do it.
That's hilarious.
Like, and I don't change my star ratings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do from review to review, but like the film's ratings will change, but I don't go back to a review and change it. Because that's how I felt at the time.
Right.
So if we're looking at Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom,
Right.
this is going to be kind of crazy. But it's just how I felt at the time. In my Letterboxd era, I have rated this 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
In May of 2020, I gave it 2 stars and a heart.
Oh my god.
In November of 2022, I gave it 4 stars and a heart. And in May 2025, I gave it 4 stars and a heart again. Why did I give it 2 stars? Was I thinking of... I have no clue.
Do you have a review for that one that gives you any indication why it's 2 stars?
Yes and no. So what I said in 2020,
Yeah.
5 years ago, a
Yeah.
very different Austin. This movie is batshit crazy. Like giant vampire batshit crazy. Okay, I fucking love that line. Maybe I haven't changed that much.
No.
It's like Spielberg and Lucas unfiltered, just spewing out the craziest ideas they could. And some of them are amazing. Like the climax on the rope bridge. Hells to the yam, man. Okay, maybe I didn't change. It's also really cringy and aged kind of poorly in my mind. Okay, that part of me changed, because I don't think it's cringy at all right now. Aged kind of poorly. I think it's a little racist.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what you meant by age kind of poorly. Remember, 2020 Austin was also faced with the Black Lives Matter movement. Like, it was right in front of our faces.
That's fair.
Faced with.
And this was May 12th, 2020.
Yeah,
So-
that would have been right around that time.
Yep. So I
Yeah.
would have been thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's fair. But then I go on to say, I like it because I like the Indiana Jones films, but I also think it's easily the weakest and most problematic of the series. I meant to say trilogy. I do know that, but I said series. I don't think it's the weakest of the series.
I was going to say, it still might be the most problematic, but I don't think it's the weakest.
Yeah, it still might, yeah. And I say, that being said, I think the pros outweigh the cons by a long shot, and Harrison Ford continues to be an underappreciated comedic genius. So I ask you, in reading this, why did I give this 2 stars?
I don't know,
That's
man.
not a negative review.
That's insane. What about you, Jeremy? Do you have, like, a specific way that you rate movies and stuff, or are you just kind of vibes as well?
I think I'm mostly vibes in terms of just like how I view a movie. I think that there are movies that you can objectively look at, even if you don't necessarily enjoy them, and be like, that was a good movie. I mean, like, I think that Oppenheimer was a good example of this. Did I necessarily, like, is Oppenheimer a movie I'm going to sit down and watch every so often just because I'm like, man, I'm really feeling Oppenheimer? Probably not. That was probably a one and done for me. But I still walk out of that theater being like, okay, well, I saw Best Picture for the year. That's checked off my list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there are objective things that you can look at and be like, that's a great film. But in terms of how I personally rate movies, it's definitely more like, did I like this? Did they accomplish the goal they were setting out to accomplish? I think sometimes movies are just for an audience. They don't have to be for everybody.
I
you
think
know?
that's how my star rating used to be.
Mhm.
I used to try and put objectivity and stuff,
Mhm.
but now I don't give a shit.
Mhm.
I'm going to give Drumline and Alligator 5 stars.
Yeah. So I am much more like meticulous about it than you
Mhm.
guys are. I will say that. But what I will say is all of my ratings are my personal enjoyment factor exclusively and have absolutely nothing to do with like whether or not they're good quality.
Objectivity is overrated.
Correct. So the way that I do it, first of all, half stars, 0.75 stars, that's all vibes based. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If something is kind of in between these two for me, then I will bump it up or bump it down depending. But the way that I do it is 5-star movies are like my greatest movies of all time. These are like my comfort movies I
Yep.
will reach for time and time again. They are the movies I would consider my favorites. 4-star movies are any movie that I like and would recommend to other people. Like actively. Not necessarily like, oh, if you like this movie, you would like this movie. But like, hey, everybody has to go like see this movie. It was great.
Yeah.
3-star movies, pretty neutral. I liked this movie. I don't know that I will be rewatching it very often,
Mhm.
or that, not that I would never rewatch it, but I don't know that I will be rewatching it like all the time. I don't know that I'm going to recommend it to other people, but I had a good time.
Yeah.
2-star movies are movies that I did not like, but I understand why other people did. It has like redeeming qualities. I get why you liked it, just not for me. 1-star movies are, not only do I hate this movie, I don't understand how anybody on the face of the planet could like this movie ever.
I've given a 1-star recently.
What did you give a 1-star? Oh, you're not going to say it on the podcast because you don't want to be mean.
Also, listen to the last episode of Macabre May.
Oh, you're right. I forgot you gave that a 1-star. That's fair. I don't know that I've given any 1-stars on Letterboxd. I've given a couple 2-stars.
Over the course of this segment, I have downloaded Letterboxd, so next time.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm really excited.
But yeah, I just want to say, when it comes to don't ever take my stars ratings. It's literally just what I'm feeling in the moment. I don't understand it either.
I did give one movie a 1-star review. Oh, I probably gave Argyle a 1-star. I did give Argyle a 1-star review. I gave 2 movies a 1-star review.
What's the other one?
The other one is He's All That.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and The Kissing Booth 3. I'm looking through it. I gave many more movies a 1-star review than I thought. But, like, for example, the movie I'm thinking of, Ending Things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm probably just too dumb to get that movie. So I gave that a 2-star because I did not enjoy myself, but I definitely feel like other people would enjoy themselves.
Let me see something really quick. Hold on.
You've rated so many movies, you're not going to find what you're looking for.
I gave Hereditary 2.5 stars.
Okay. But see,
Is that objectively a better movie than that? Probably. Do I care?
You don't like it, but you get why other people do.
And I don't, dislike it.
Right. It's like how I gave Alien 5 stars. But the opposite. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
Okay, well...
Alien is a lot of people give that movie 5 stars.
But that's my point, is unlike, I don't know what I was trying to say. Never mind. I'm not going to be able to explain it well.
I'm a little confused.
That's fair. You should be. What is this? Oh, these are in order of, these are in chronological order. I was like, why is my review showing so far back? But that's why. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I'm shutting the fuck up now.
So, I'll give you an example. In the month of April, on April 14th, I watched Pulp Fiction. 5 stars and a heart. On April 16th, I watched Alligator. 5 stars and a heart. On April 17th, I watched Sinners. 4.5 stars and a heart. On April 20th, I watched Black Panther. 5 stars and a heart. The Nice Guys. 5 stars and a heart. Sinners. 5 stars and a heart.
To be fair, you do not often watch movies that you don't absolutely love.
I'm pretty good at finding movies I like.
Yeah. I have only rated 7 movies 5 stars. But you have to remember, I've only rated 44 movies. So.
On Letterboxd, I have watched 1,333 movies.
That makes more sense.
My diary is 1,423, but I rewatch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And according to this, I have given 134 movies 5 stars. I've only given 61 4.5 stars.
My 7 movies are a pretty good amalgamation, if you wondered.
Mm-hmm.
I have Sinners. I have Teen Wolf. I have Crazy Rich Asians. I have The Holdovers. I have Emma, Penelope, and Jennifer's Body. And those are my 5-star movies, if you wondered.
Those are rookie numbers. We got to pump those numbers up.
I just need to start, because I have not rated movies that I watched previous to getting Letterboxd.
So Raiders.
Yeah, I mean,
will be
I
added to that.
just rated, that. But so I need to as I watch more movies, I need to just remember to log them instead of just forgetting.
I'm a Letterboxd whore now.
I'm
always giving out hearts.
That's fair.
I'm giving out hearts like no one's business.
You're 1 star and a heart. 2 stars and a heart.
I like
Half a star, heart. I'm like, are you sure you liked this movie? I don't think you did. We should move on.
I like movies.
You do like movies. That's true.
So
There
we
are
should
no
move. Yeah,
supernatural alum in this movie.
there is a Star Wars alum.
At least one, yeah. I
It's
think it's just
Harrison
one.
Ford.
There's a Goonies alum.
It's Harrison Ford.
It's not. He's not in that movie. He's not in that movie, right?
No, he's not.
Harrison Ford, the Goonies.
No.
No, he is not. But there is one supernatural connection to the Indiana Jones franchise.
What the fuck?
Oh,
So-
to the franchise, not to Temple of
Not
Doom.
to Temple of Doom.
To the franchise.
To the
This is
franchise.
fucked up. 2 weeks in a row.
In a episode of Supernatural called Stairway to Heaven, there's a moment, if you remember, where Sam and Castiel have to pass certain tests in this warehouse hallway.
Yeah.
And when they get to one of the tests, the line that is stated is "Only a penitent man shall pass," which was directly quoted from The Last Crusade.
Yeah.
But in Latin, Jehovah starts with an I. Did they reference that too?
No.
Fake fans.
Okay.
I know I know another supernatural Indiana Jones connection.
I'm going home. What am I here for?
One of the main characters, what are the names? Dean
Sam and Dean?
Sam and Dean. One of them wears a leather jacket.
Well, Dean does wear a leather jacket. I don't know that you can count that as a reference.
Indiana Jones wears a leather jacket.
So do a lot of people.
Da
Okay.
da 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 da.
So, Austin, should the prequel exist?
Yeah, because it fucking rules.
So, yeah, like, I agree. I think the answer to this one is, like, the prequel should exist. I don't know that it necessarily needed to be a prequel.
You could, in the line where it says, like, Shanghai 1935, you could easily put Shanghai 1937, and I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
No, it, like, might do something to his character arc a little bit. It might regress it a little bit. But, like, by the end of the movie, he still ends up as, like, ultimately doing the right thing. So not that much.
Yeah, and I think the thing is like by the end of the movie, I mean, like the whole movie, he's kind of that bordering, towing the line of arrogance in a way that like you're not. I don't think the average movie watcher is looking at that and being like, "Oh man, he got cocky again."
No.
Like they're looking at it and they're like, "That's indie."
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree.
But, you know, at this time, they don't know they're going to make a third, right?
Right.
All they know is they're making a second.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to do something completely different. And Spielberg knows audiences pretty well. So does George Lucas. And they must have made the decision, if we don't bring back Marion, people are going to be like, where is she?
Where the fuck's Marion? Yeah.
Right. And it's just easy to be like, this was before.
Mm-hmm.
Brand new cast.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because no one's watching Raiders and is like, where's Willie?
No.
You know what I'm asking though? In every Indiana Jones movie, other than Temple of Doom,
Where's Short Round?
where's Short Round?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I am.
He's going to school.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this prequel should exist. And I stand by it.
So, Austin, would you die?
Well, that depends.
On what factors?
What's your guess?
Well, see, Austin's a man.
Well, here's what it depends on. Who did I piss off? Did I piss
Fair.
off Indiana Jones or did I piss off Mola Ram? Or did I piss off Lao Che?
Or did you piss off Kali?
Then I'm definitely dead.
Yeah, she's gonna fucking kill you.
Because, like, okay, we didn't talk about the funniest gag in the movie. And we have to bring it up very quickly because this is my would you die scenario that I'm giving to myself.
I'm ready.
I would put myself in I just escaped from Club Obi-Wan. I'm wearing my beautiful white tux. Me this American singer I just pulled by being a silly, goofy guy, and my best 8-year-old Chinese friend are escaping the clutches of a Chinese criminal overlord. And we find this plane. It might be filled with live poultry, but it's the best we can do under the circumstances. And we're getting on this plane, and as I'm getting on and about to close the door, I see the criminal overlord. And, you know what? I'm going to toot my horn a little bit. I'm going to say, nice try, Lao Che. And I'm going to close the door, revealing the Lao Che Freight logo on the plane. And I'm not going to hear this part, but Lao Che is going to be like, goodbye, Austin.
Oh, a different city name. You're right. It works.
So in this situation, when his goons jump off the plane, take all the parachutes, and we're going to fly, and they're going to empty out all the fuel. I'm going to get in the cockpit after the American singer wakes me up. It's being like, sir. And my Chinese 8-year-old best friend's going to be like, that's Dr. Tourist to you, doll. And she's going to wake me up, and she's going to sit me in the cockpit.
Doctorate?
We have horror movies.
Okay, yeah.
And we're going to have, like, sit me in the cockpit. And she's going to be like, do you know how to fly? I'm going to be like, no.
I
you?
love that this 8-year-old Chinese kid is like, hey, just because it's not an MD doesn't mean you don't call him doctor. He worked hard for that.
He gets it. So anyways, I'm going to be in this cockpit, and I'm going to be like, altimeter, doohickey, fuel, and I'm going to tap it a couple times, and it's going to start blinking red. And I'm going to be like, fuel. And here's the difference. I'm not going to think. This is what separates Indiana Jones from a common man like me. I'm not going to think to grab an inflatable raft and fly it into a river after sledding down a mountain with it. I'm just going to be on board the plane when it crashes. And that's how I die in the Temple of Doom. By not even making it to the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Lisa, if you were Indiana Jones and visiting the Temple of Doom, would you die?
First of all, that's not the prompt. The prompt is, would you die? Would I die? And the answer is no, because here's how I figure it, right? I am putting myself in Willie's shoes. And if I went down into that fucking hole and saw my dear friend was suffering and about to get impaled, and then I felt all the bugs, I'd be like, respectfully, I've never met you in my life. And I would go back up and I would promptly leave the palace. And I understand it's the jungle. It's dicey, right? But like, I would find my way. I would crawl my way to Delhi. I don't have any desire to be in that room to save those people. That's not my mission. That's not my purpose. I, as somebody who has like an objective, like outsider's lens, know Indiana Jones. And I know he will find his own way out. He won't die because he's got plot armor. So I'm going to go.
We are going to die. Sad foods.
That really sucks for you. You should have thought of that.
All I know is if we...
Why'd you bring an 8-year-old kid down into a weird dungeon? That's my question.
Don't we all?
All I know is if we don't roll up to next year's Halloween party dressed as Indiana Jones, Willie, and Short Round, we've done things wrong.
But Jeremy, you're the shortest one of all of us. You have to be Short Round.
I know.
Okay, I'm Indiana Jones.
The fuck you are?
You get to be Willie.
No.
Yes.
Mm-mm. I'll let you be Mola Ram.
Okay, that's fair. Yep.
It's still my show.
Excuse you.
So next week on the pod, there isn't one. We just broke up.
That's it. We're done. All right.
We all want to be Indiana Jones.
We're all gonna show up as Indiana Jones. I'll be like, I'm gonna be the bigger person. I'll be Willie. Austin's like, I will be Mola Ram. Like, I got this. Jeremy's like, I will be Short Round. We all show up as Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I was already planning to show up as Short Round, so
You were gonna show up as a little Chinese boy?
yes.
Hold on to your potatoes.
Yeah, because Jeremy's gonna be caught dead in a Yankees hat. Anyway, moving on.
Some people would say he's nuts. He no nuts. He crazy.
Austin, where can the people find you?
Not at Club Obi-Wan, I can tell you that. Y'all can find me at Austin M. Torres across the internet landscapes. Check out Insta and Letterboxd mainly. Those are the ones. How about you?
Same places, different at Whims of Willow.
Ooh, that was a nice way. I like that.
Thanks. Efficient.
I like it. You can find the show social media at Would You Die Show across all the different platforms.
Jeremy Lippitt is our producer. Josie Palmer does the music at the beginning and end of every episode. Alec Gibson from Crosshook Creative does all of our graphics. Austin, you got a hint for next episode?
I do. In space, no one knows your origins.
Good one.
I'm Austin Torres.
I'm Anneliese and Petersmark.
Try not to die.